Children, today we are starting new chapter, European expeditions to India. In that first concept is colonial India. As per the lesson name, what do you mean by colonial India? So colony means here the country or a territory which is under an other country's ruling power or domination. So in the textbook, lesson is started with the discussion of Rashid and Meher, who are at their aunt's place, and auntie is a professor of history in Mumbai. So children, here Rashi and Meher are amazed at the number of history books in her house. So Meher is asking to auntie, why do you like history so much? So auntie is answering, oh, I love history for many reasons. I will tell you a little story to explain. Rashid loves to read her English books, but did you know that till the 15th and 16th century hardly anybody knew the English in India? So children, here first of all you should know the meaning of history, and as English is not our mother tongue, when we people have started speaking English. So children, here what is the meaning of history? History means a study of past. History is a true story of the human growth. So it helps us to understand events and their causes. It helps us to understand ourselves, our roots, and defining episodes of our lives by helping us link our life to the past. So we study history through the written and unwritten records, children, here. So then Rashi is answering, then wow, then how do we know English now? And is answering, in 15th and 16th century, European companies came to India to sell their products here. In exchange, they wanted to take useful items back. In the end, Europeans even ruled over India. Most of them spoke in English. So children, here we will discuss so many things before starting this lesson, and in this discussion there are so many things to be discussed before starting the so many things. So here children, first, how Indians got to know about the European language, and what are the other things we have adopted from European countries or from the Western. So we should know about the Indians have adopted so many things from Europe. What are these things, children? See, almost many things. But since we are talking about daily things, I could first off start with clothing. Earlier women wore saris and Punjabi dresses, but now we also have started wearing jeans, t-shirts, frocks, shorts. Eating habits, we used to eat with hands and we still eat with hands, except that now we also know how to use fork, spoon and a knife. Languages, now we are too much depend on English language. Our syllabus books are in English. We can speak in English. Till the 15th or 16th century, hardly anybody knew the English in India. So when and how we have started English? So children, here in 15th or 16th century, Britishers or the European countries, they came to India for a business purpose. At the beginning of the 15th century, European explorers wanted to explore more world. So explorers from the European countries such as Portugal, Britain, France and Netherlands began to expeditions. So they also wanted to find new sea routes to reach different countries in Asia, including India. So children, here what do you mean by here expeditions? An expedition is a journey by a group of people with a particular purpose. As some people, they start business or a start journey with some particular purpose. Why did the European want to find new routes to reach Asia? So why these European people, they were too much attracted with the Asian countries. So children, why the Asia was so famous? What are the things in India which attracted to European countries? So Asia was a well known for materials that were not easily available in other parts of the world. The Europeans got the so many things from India and the Asian countries such as even China. Spices, pepper, nutmeg, cloves, metals, copper, silver, cloth, silk, cotton. So these things were manufactured in India in a large quantity. Now, how these European people they reached India, and why these people they have chosen the sea route to reach India or the Asian countries. So children, it took a long time to reach Asia by land. At that times, the rulers of some places in Asia did not allow Europeans to travel through their kingdoms to reach another place. So Europeans believed that by finding new sea routes, they would be able to reach Asian countries easily. Then they could trade with the Indian and the Asian countries easily. The need for new areas for trading led to discovery and establishment of colonies in India. In 1498 CE, Vasco da Gama, a Portuguese explorer, discovered a new sea route to India. Via the Cape of Good Hope, the Portuguese were the first to come to Calicut, now Kozhikode, start trading with India. They built trade centers at Cochin, now Kochi, Kannur, now Kannur, and Calicut. Spices were the most important item to trade that Portuguese dealt in because they helped in the preservation of meat in winter and made the food tastier. They also traded in silk and gold, which were considered very valuable in the whole of Europe. The Dutch followed the Portuguese into India and established trade centers. Then the British came and the Dutch gave up their centers as they were more interested in the East Indies. Tales of India's prosperity reached England through the British travelers who came to India. The Britishers merchant formed the English East India Company in 1600 CE with the permission from the Queen Elizabeth I, who was the Queen of England and Ireland at that time. The company got permissions from the Mughal Emperor Jahangir to trade in India and set up first trade center in Surat. So the French also set up their own trading company and established themselves in the Chandangarh, now Chandarnagar in Bengal, and Pondicherry near Chennai. A sense of rivalry developed between the Britishers and the French as each of them tried to establish new and larger colonies in India. So there was a clash between the two, which resulted in French being defeated by the Britishers. As a result, French were allowed to keep only Pondicherry. So children, if you will see the establishment of European trading posts and the factories in India in the timeline, 1502 Portuguese factories were established in Kozhikode, Calicut, Kannur, and Cochin. 1605 members of the Dutch East India Company came to India. Then 1615 the Britishers East India Company set up trading stations in India. 1668 the first French factories were set up in Surat. After defeating other European countries, the British East India Company decided to make India their colony. In other words, they decided to control and rule over India. So how did the British establish their rule over India? So what was the position and the situation of India at that time? During the 18th century, many small kingdoms ruled over different parts of India. The rulers often fought among themselves. The British took advantages of this infighting. They would give presents and money to one Indian ruler and promise to protect his or her kingdom from the other rulers. In return, the rulers would look after the British army. The British interfered in the affairs of kingdoms such as deciding the hire, making rulers, and so on. The British had modern weapons, so they could defeat the Indian kings easily. They would also fight Indian rulers who refused to look after the British army or follow the rules made by them. So below are some important battles fought and won by the British East India Company. So children, first war was the Battle of Plassey, which was between the company and the Sirajuddaulah, Nawab of Bengal. After that, Battle of Buxar in 1764. Mir Qasim, the Mughal Emperor Shah Alam, this is Shahjaddullah, Nawab of Awadh, part of present-day Uttar Pradesh. The third war, Anglo-Mysore War, 4 wars till 1799. Hyder Ali and his son, Tipu Sultan of Mysore, and between Britishers. Then Anglo-Maratha Wars, 3 wars till 1818. Maratha rulers from the present-day Maratha. So, these important battles fought and won by British East India Company. Battle of Plassey. Plassey is a place in Bengal. So, here the East India Company had set up a few factories in Bengal. In 1756, Sirajuddaulah became the Nawab of Bengal. East India Company was worried about his power. Now, what was the actually causes for the Battle of Plassey? The East India Company wanted to take control over various parts of India. So, the first wanted to bring Bengal under their control because it was the richest state in the country. And this was the reason behind the Battle of Plassey that took place in 1757. The British had started maintaining an army in Bengal. They also began to fortify. Fortify means to make a place more able to resist attack, and especially by building high walls in Calcutta. So Sirajuddaulah, the Nawab of Bengal, ordered the removal of the British army and the fortification. When the British refused, he declared war on them. However, the British under Robert Clive emerged victorious. Sirajuddaulah was captured and put to death. So this was the first step towards the conquest of Bengal. Then the Mir Jafar was the new puppet was made a new Nawab by the British granted the East India Company. Nawab means the king who look after that state. Children, we are discussing some important battles fought and won by British East India Company. After the Battle of Plassey, the effect of Battle of Plassey was Mir Jafar became new Nawab of Bengal. He was the puppet of British. Next, we are going to give a look of Battle of Buxar. So, Mir Qasim, the son-in-law of Mir Jafar, was the Nawab of Bengal from the year of 1760 to 1764. Buxar is a place in West Bengal. Battle of Buxar was fought between the British army and combined force of Mughal Emperor Shah Alam II, Mir Qasim, Nawab of Bengal, and Shahjaddullah, Nawab of Awadh. So, British East India Company defeated these combined forces. Battle took place at 22nd October 1764. That time, the Buxar was a part of Bengal. Combined India army lose a battle and East India Company became real ministers of Bengal. After that, Mysore was also a powerful kingdom. Mysore became strong under Hyder Ali, who ruled Mysore from 1761 to 1782, and his famous son Tipu Sultan, who ruled Mysore from 1782 to 1799. Mysore controlled the profitable trade of pepper and cardamom from the Malabar coast. 1785, Tipu Sultan stopped the export of sandalwood, pepper and cardamom through the ports of his kingdom. He also disallowed local merchant or traders from trading with the company. So he set up a close relationship with the French in India and he also modernized his army with their help. British saw Hyder and Tipu are ambitious, arrogant, and dangerous. So they decided to control and crush them. Here, children, 4 wars were fought with Mysore, 1767 to 69 to 1780 to 84. Third war was 1790 to 92, and last war was in 1799. So only in the last the battle of Srirangapatnam did the company ultimately win a victory. Tipu Sultan was killed defending his capital Srirangapatnam, and Mysore was totally under the control of British East India Company. Now they were the master of this state. Now next war was with the Marathas. Marathas is a army from the Maharashtra. So Marathas were subdued in the series of wars. In the first war, they ended in 1782 with the Treaty of Salbai. There was a no clear victor. The second Anglo-Maratha war between the 1803 to 1805 was fought on the different fronts, resulting the British gaining the Orissa and Delhi and Agra. Finally, the third Anglo-Maratha War of 1817 to 19 crushed Maratha power. The Peshwas were removed and sent away to the Bithur near the Kanpur with the pension. Now, most part of the India was under the British East India Company. They were the master of now the most part of the India. British wanted to extend their control over all states of India, as India was divided into different territories. In the early years, when the British started to take control over India, there was no place for the nationalism and the unity among Indians. It helped the Britishers to take control over India easily. East India Company defeated Bengal, Marathas, Mysore, Sindh, many other Indian states through wars and the other policies to run their newly acquired territories or states efficiently. So East India Company made new laws, policies that allowed them to take over the kingdoms easily. So here, as they started acquiring territories, different states, so they started making new policies and the new laws to extend the kingdoms. So company made laws that allowed them to take over the kingdoms easily. So here one such law was that when a ruler died without leaving a male heir, the kingdom would go under the British rule. So in Bengal, company took the responsibility of administrating the land and organizing revenue. So children, here one kingdom after another was occupied simply by applying this rule that was named as the doctrine of flaps. So like this is Satara, Sambalpur, Udaipur, Nagpur, Jhansi, all these places were under the Britishers now, under this doctrine of flaps. Means here one such law was that when a ruler died without leaving a male heir, the kingdom would go under the British rule. So when the British took complete control over India, they thought about the financial needs to bear the cost of maintaining wards, expenses, funds for maintaining army, funds for purchase the Indian goods for exporting to England. So they enhance income through revenue, means collecting taxes from the people. So company took responsibilities of administrating the land and organizing revenue. Means organizing revenue means they have taken the charge to collecting taxes from the people, their own. In this way, many rulers lost their kingdoms. So here, now this was the impact on the rulers. Now the impact on the artisans. So children, here, what is the main occupation of the people of India? it was agriculture, even now it's agriculture. So that time villages in India were primarily self-sufficient units, agriculture and handicrafts being the main occupation. Artisans means workers in a skilled trade, who are skilled in their occupation or in trade, especially one that involves making things by hand, for example hand woven clothes, textiles, sarees, painted ceramics, then earthen pots, you can say leather goods, this woodwork, stone carving, metal craft. These handicrafts of India have been loved and respected worldwide. Artisans were leaving their villages since they were being forced to sell their goods to the company at low prices, and the companies sent raw materials from India to the factories located in England. So the British factory made goods were cheaper and more colorful than the goods made by the Indian artisans. So artisans, they suffered losses. Now impact on the farmers. So here the company imposed heavy taxes on the farmers. So in some places farmers had to pay 50% of their production to East India Company every year. Tax amount was so high they were not able to investment in the land because of high rate of the taxes. So the pre-colonial India was primarily producing two crops, rice and wheat. Despite this, it was a self-sufficient and sustainable. But East India Company made agriculture commercial. So they were forcing to the farmers to grow more cotton, indigo crop, which crop was giving a very dark blue color for dyeing clothes, tobacco, jute, oil seeds, which crops were benefited to the East India Company. So here farmers had to pay taxes even if the crops failed. Here crops failed occurs due to the number of factors like lack of assured irrigation, means watering to the crops. So the India was totally dependent on the rain for irrigation, poor soil, poor seeds quality, unscientific farming, and the natural calamities like floods, earthquake, landslides, cyclone, drought, and shortage of water supply in that land. Anyone who failed to lost taxes, they had to lost their lands. Okay, so they lost their lands. This made farmers very poor. So here even the farmers were not able to invest in the lands, because investment in the lands means for the irrigation, for the technology, fertilization, manure, all the technology, they were unable to invest on the lands to improve the land for the crops. So impact on the soldiers. So people who were not having work, like artisans and the farmers who lost their lands, so they were not having any other options for the fulfill the requirement of their families. So they had to join the East India Company's army. So many farmers and artisans joined the state armies because they had to quit their previous jobs. Company also formed an army known as the Sipahi Army. So there was also a partiality among the Indian armies and the British people. So the policies of the East India Company affected different rulers, artisans, farmers, soldiers, and their families in different ways.